Hello, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys have been having, of course, the most amazing day and the most blessed week. And I hope you guys were able to catch the solar eclipse that happened this past Monday. It was such a beautiful sight to see, and I felt so blessed seeing it. Even thinking about it is making me feel so blessed right now because it's such a phenomenon. It doesn't happen all the time. But anyways, let's get to the point. Happy Workflow Wednesday. Happy Workflow Wednesday. I'm really excited about today's video because guess what we're doing today? We are going to be creating another custom action. Yes, we are. So I created a new catalog item for ServiceNow administrators to create new users in the user table for third-party consultants. Now, I want my flow designer to help me do a couple things. I wanted to add new users with their assignment group to be populated in the sys user table upon the submission of this catalog item. The flow designer is meant to also create a new user and add the user with their correct assignment group as per the mapping on system property. Now, as per mentioned, I created a catalog item and also a system property, and I'm going to quickly show you guys what that looks like. And to access system property, we go through sys_properties.list, but I have it pulled up, of course, per usual. So my system property name is company_user_mapping, and for my values, I used JSON objects with some key value pairs. These are the key, these are the values, and these are the mapping between the company name and the assignment groups. It's up to you how you could have gone about this step. You could have just created a table for these mappings. It's just really up to you. And so, for example, if a user was to select Acer as company name, their assignment group would be database. If they select 3Com as company name, their assignment group would be hardware, and so on and so forth. If you want to learn more about JSON objects, how it works, how we use it to fetch values, I will drop a project documentation link as I'm talking right below this video somewhere. And if you want me to make a separate video on JSON objects, I can do that as well. Now, let's take a also quick look at my catalog item. And to access catalog items on our all, we search up maintain items, as we see. So this catalog item only has 5 variables, and including the company, which is referencing our core company table in ServiceNow. We go to type specifications, we will see that. Oh, there we are. Now, on to the main topic. The main topic, which is creating our flow as mentioned. So let's get started on that. Let's get started. We click on new. Click on build flow. Now let's get started for real. So for my trigger, is going to be service catalog, and that's that for triggers. Now for my action, I select get catalog variables, drag and drop my catalog variables to it. Next, I need to create an action to create a new user and put that user under the sys user table. So we're going to click on create record action. I'm going to map the catalog variables to certain user fields, as you're going to see in a sec. And that's it for now. I will leave the company name because we're using it for a very special purpose. We'll be using it for the mapping it to assignment groups. So now, after this step right here, the user has been created. The next step is to add this user to the proper assignment group according to the company which will have been selected in the catalog or on the catalog item, excuse me. So my flow is automatically saved. But because your girl always likes to be on the safe side, we still have an extra save button right here. If you didn't know, now you know. You're welcome. So I can just click that to just save my flow for now. And then I would need to go ahead and create my custom action because it requires some sort of scripting. So let's go. Action name is going to be guys, I made a mistake. Well, thank God I can always correct it from here. So now we have an action. Remember, we also have inputs and outputs. Remember, we talked about that when we first created custom actions. So inputs are the data and information provided to an action to execute it. So what I need in this input is data about the company. So I'm going to put the company sys-ID. So to get started, let me exit this to be able to create an input. To get started, this is going to be referencing the sys-ID table. It's up to you if you want to make this mandatory or not. This is going to be allowing us to get the sys-ID of that company from the main flow to this action. From here, we can now fetch the name of the company. So I'm just going to make this mandatory. And remember, outputs are the result or the outcome of the action being executed. So after this, I need to go ahead and add a script. I'm going to click on this cute little plus sign right here. Script. And before I get started on my script, I will need to create an input. It's asking me for an input. So I will be giving it the same action input that we literally just created. So I'm going to click on create variable and just drag and drop or pick my fields right here and just drag and drop my input variable. And there we have it. It's copied. Okay, so now that we have the sys-ID of the company, we will use it to find the actual name of the company. And remember, in our sys property, we have the company name and assignment group name. So let's get started with our script. Now, let me explain what we've done so far before I move on. And don't worry, I'm going to include a separate documentation that would include this script and some comments in case you want to replicate this on your own PDI. But the second line, what we're doing is setting a variable to store the company's name, and then we're creating a glide record to give us access to the core company table. And then our fourth line is getting the sysID from our main flow to invoke into this input that we created for our sysID record for in our action in this first step. And then we are executing our query. And then what this is doing is retrieving the name field of the core company record and assigning it to this variable that we defined in the second line. So at this point, we have the company name at this point right here. So let's move on. Yes, and one more thing I forgot to mention that is very important. You might be wondering why this function toString is right here. It's because we are converting our value from the name of the company, the name value, to a string. And this is just to make it easier to be on the safe side, because when it's converted into a string and assigned here, we're still going to be utilizing this variable as a key in order to get us our assignment group value as well. So let's move on. The thing we need to do, of course, is to get the system property. And to get the system property, we write property, like I showed you guys earlier, is this right here. So we're just copying and pasting the name and putting it on our script right here. Now we need to get the mappings, the keys and the values to these objects, which is the same as the name of our system property. Let's keep that in mind. The system property contains the JSON string, which represents all the mappings between the company names and the assignment groups. So, but before we do that, we need to be able to parse this JSON string into a JavaScript object. For that, we need to create yet another variable. This is now a JavaScript object. Since it's been parsed, we need to now fetch the value of the assignment group name. And to fetch the value, we will need to let's first create a variable. Now this company name is the same as line 7 right here. And this holds the key of the particular company name, and doing this will give us the particular mapping of the assignment group name, giving us its value. Does that make sense? Up next, don't worry, we're almost done. We need to create a glide record to query records with the name matching assignment group name, this, because it now holds the assignment group value with the name matching assignment group name, which was obtained during the mapping. So let's quickly get that started. So at this point, let's quickly state what this is doing. We're querying the group member table. We're querying it to find records with name matching the assignment group name, like I mentioned, which is the group name obtained from the mapping. We're setting the limit to 1 because we only want to retrieve 1 record. This right here is executing the query. And now on to what next we finally need to do is to get the sys ID of the assignment group. And for that, I will need to have it stored in a variable in my output so that I can pass it out of the script to the main action. I know that sounds like a lot of talking, so let's just see it in action. So I scroll down to output variables to create a new variable. And I'm also going to have it referencing. You can make this mandatory. It's up to you. And now I scroll up to copy and paste the variable to execute it, getting the sys ID of the assignment group. So I go here to my script and click on lastly, I'm getting the sys ID of my assignment group and assigning it to my output variable that we created. Now, I know you guys are like, oh my God, we're still going? We're almost done. I want to pass the output of the script to my actual output in actions. So I need to go to my actual output section and click on create output. Give it a name. It's going the sys ID table. Sys ID table? What? That doesn't even make any sense. I'm gonna make this mandatory and click on exit edit mode, and then I'm going to drag and drop on the assignment group sys ID. I'm going to give the value of the output we just created. So I'm gonna go on my script step and assign this right here. And that's it. And we're done with actions. I click on publish. First, let's save it. Of course. We have to save it. And then publish my actions. Our actions is done. Congratulations. It takes an input of the company's sys ID and returns us the output of the assignment group sys ID, and it will be using the mapping defined in the system property. If I could find it, here we are. So now, on to the last few things we need to do, which is adding it onto our beautiful flow. So we're gonna click on add action. We're at our custom action. So for company sys ID, I go to get catalog variable. I'm over at company right now. Yes, and then I'm dragging and dropping its sys ID. There we go. So next, and now we can see over here that my action, it lets me scroll down. Okay, we can see that my action provides us my assignment group sys ID, as we can see in step 3. And this is the main output that we created on our custom action, not the script. So now, up next, we need to create yet a new action to create a record in the group member table. 2 very, very important fields. Very important. User. And then, oh, I'm sorry, not here, but instead here. Yes, I'm sorry. And then for groups, we would drag and drop our assignment group sys ID. Now, next, we're almost done. We need to send an email to the user as well. So for action, let's click on send email. Who are we sending this to? We're sending it to the email of the user. Put that right here. And then for our subject, for the email, for the to, we could have either done this, drag and dropped here, or drag and dropped through user record and then finding email, but to each their own. For subject, let's send them a welcome message. Excuse me. Now, one more thing we need to do and we're done, okay? We need to close our requested item record. So for that, we would click on update record. And we're done! Woohoo! Give yourself a round of applause for getting through this with me. I'm so proud of you. So now, let's quickly just go through what our flow just did and what we did so far. Let's create a good logic here. We are getting the variables from our catalog item that we created. And then we are creating a user record in the user table using variables from our catalog item. Then we are calling the custom action that we also created, by the way, which has script to fetch the mapping between the company and the assignment group, and it is returning us the assignment group's sys-ID. Next, we are using the assignment group's sys-ID to create a group member record for the user in the sys user group member table. And then after that, we are sending them a nice little welcome email. And then finally, we are closing our flow. Now, let's activate our flow. It's automatically saved right here with this cute little call button. Let's activate our flow. Click on activate, and we also need to make sure to copy and paste our flow on our process engine on our catalog item. So let's do that as well. We paste it. Yay, here we are. And then let me just click update. Now that our flow is included in our process engine and our flow is also activated, let's test it out, shall we? So we click on try it. So I'm going to use myself. Okay, so I'm going to choose Acer for my company and click on order now. So now our flow designer should trigger. So let's go down to requested item. And we see our flow designer is already working. We see our stage and state is fulfillment and close complete. So that's a good sign so far. And now let's go and see if our user was created. So I'll go to user administrators. Voila, here I am. Peace Semgat. Our user record was definitely created. And let's see if I'm in any groups. I am. I also was put and assigned to the database group with the rest of my friends. So this is good. Our flow designer works perfectly, and I'm very, very excited. The last thing we need to check is the email. So we just go to Outlook. It should be here somewhere. Hold on, guys. Let me search my history. Yes, Outbox. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Outlook, but it's an Outbox. And we click on Outbox and we should see it somewhere. Oh, here we are. Welcome to our company just a minute ago. So there we have it. Our flow designer works perfectly. I would make sure to include product documentation links and also documentation on the script if you guys want to try it on your PDI. And I hope you had fun with me doing this with me for the first time. And I will see you again next week, Wednesday. Bye. Have a good night.